Hey there, Scroll Army. How's it going? For today, I want to discuss bringing some bling to your decks.
You can join the Screw Army by subscribing.
Alright, so this is a bit more of a fun one because the last few have been a bit, whatever. But still, I think it's one of those funnest things about your decks nowadays. One of the things people really enjoy is uniqueness in their deck. They really want their deck to feel different from everyone else's. Now, that becomes a bit of a problem sometimes when you only have one alternate version of a card or whatever, but still, at least you're not just playing the same card as, say, someone who opened a regular version or has a regular version. For me, the tier list is what they would call extended art, then borderless, then like showcase. And as one person who doesn't really like foils, obviously it's a bit different for me to get bling. But in this case, I'm not talking specifically about shiny things, though of course that does, usually represent what people mean by bling and whatnot. But I think showcases and alternate border cards can be classed as blingy because even though they're not shiny or whatever, they're still a sort of card sometimes that you have that alt art of, and people will look over and go, oh, cool, I haven't seen that version. Or they might have, but like, oh, cool, did you pull that? Or, whatever. It kind of gets people talking sometimes because it's not just, a flat out magic card. And some cards don't have that. But still, it's nice when there is that alternate art of a card. And secret layers do help and that sort of thing as well. So you can get alternate versions if you're willing to pay up for them, even if you're just willing to pay up for the singles from them. But still, like, just having that piece that you go, cool, I have this. Not very many people will have this. Like, not none, but again, not a whole lot of people will have this because, again, it's just one of those cards that's sort of hard to come by, little bit expensive. And even I saw I think it was it the Brothers War Commanders that they had the Mind Stone in retro, and then was it Dominaria Remastered that they had it again. So I was like going, bro, do I have to pay up for a Brothers War one? And then I found that there was a Dominaria Remastered one, and I was like, well, maybe I can pick that one up because it's a bit cheaper and a lot more accessible, and it's basically the same thing. Not much difference there. So I was like, well, that seems good. So that's another bling piece that I'm planning to add to one of my decks, which is actually the newest deck that I'm building. Yes, I know I can't stop building decks, but that's another discussion for another time. But also, I can't stop blinging out decks. I don't want to just sit on borderless cards a lot of the time. But it is tough with some cards because, like, Delighted Halfling is a pretty expensive card. So getting that showcase version is quite difficult and quite expensive. I looked at the list of some of the cards that I wanted and it was like over $1,000. Yeah, sure, I could sell the cards that I am now no longer a borderless or a showcase or whatever else, or a full art or whatever. But, it's one of those things where I probably get half of what I paid for them, but even so, that's $500 something, which I could push to more cards when I need them. But it also could be a plan of installments to start going, I'll buy these 10 cards or whatever. And then I'll buy these next 10 cards or whatever, like just slowly chipping away at it. Actually, I've got to go through my decks again and just start going through and going, okay, what else do I need? Because it's just been a minute since I've looked through those decks and been like, okay, what do I need? I've kind of forgot because, again, like sometimes with trying to buy cards online through eBay or whatever, Card Kingdom or whatever it is that you're trying to get cards off, sometimes it's like, well, I don't know, the shipping takes a while, even if it's semi-local, still takes a while sometimes, so you're just kind of like going, is this really coming? Type thing. But it's nice when you do get that in the mail. I think it was nicer when we were in COVID lockdowns, but still, it is nice to get those parcels in the mail and you just open it up and go, oh yeah, I purchased this card, weeks and weeks ago. Oh, cool, I can finally put it into my deck and, take the old card out and, sell that off or whatever. So it is useful, and I just got the both of the new Parallel Lives or arts from the Enchanting Tales. I actually trade my doubling season that I had. I had a foil alternate doubling season from the Enchanting Tales, and I was just like, I just don't want this. It doesn't go in any of my decks, basically. It could go in a couple of my decks, but it's just like, it doesn't really fit. It's just too big, too clunky, that sort of thing. So it's just one of those things. I just didn't decide to put it in anything because it just didn't seem to fit. So yeah, I was just like, when somebody said, oh, I have Parallel Lives, the anime one, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll take that. And maybe something else you have, but still, like, I traded that away. Maybe I under-traded a little bit, but still, I really wanted that Parallel Lives because I was sick of the old Parallel Lives I had. I had an original Innistrad one. Yes, I know some people are a bit more like, I want the traditional one, I want the original one, or whatever, they're a collector or whatever, that sort of thing about those things. But I'm not. I just want to see pretty things in my deck. And yeah, I don't 100% need two of them. I could just proxy one of them. But it is nice to have both of them. And that's so pretty in those decks. And so nice to see in those decks when you do get to them and just be like, oh, this is cool, I got this alternate and I traded this for it. And even again, you have that kind of little bit of a story about how you got some of these cards sometimes, even if you didn't pull them. You're like, well, I actually pulled this. And they're like, what? You pulled that? And I was like, yeah, and then I traded for this and something else and whatever, blah, blah, blah. But still, I traded for this. Maybe it was a little bit of a trade down again, but still, I really wanted the Parallel Lives anime art, and I was just like happy to get it. And again, I sold off the old Parallel Lives that I had sitting around and got extra money from that. So it's not that bad, really. So yeah, I could have tried to find a space to put that old Parallel Lives, but in the end, I would have been wanting to replace it with a new one, or at least proxy over it for the new one, because I just preferred the art of the newer ones and that. So yeah, but it is that thing of, I know a lot of people love foils. I don't love foils. Some foils are okay, like some of the etched foils are okay. If a card comes only in foil, then I'm like, oh, all right, I'll take it. As long as it's not too pringled, that's fine. But that's my problem with foils, is not so much the treatment per se. It's just the fact that they are almost always super duper pringled. I opened a bundle there the other day and opened the foil pack because that's where you get your promo card. And almost immediately, those lands, the foil lands, were like Pringles. And I was like, this is why I hate, foils, because they Pringle so bad, so quickly and so easily without hardly any provocation. But again, maybe that's down to some amount of quality control and whatnot to a degree, but still, yeah, not good. Certainly when you're like, especially if you do pay for them and that sort of thing. Especially like full art ones, I think they're a bit more expensive. But yeah, you can get like foil basic for almost nothing nowadays, I think. But still, I know that there are people that love their foil basics, and even my basics, like I need full art basics. I cannot stand, just regular non-full art basics. That's me. I don't know if anyone else is like that, or they just like want some form of bling, so they just want any foil. Like if you've played tournaments and you won it in a tournament or whatever, sure, again, same thing. You have get that story, you have that history behind the card, or if you pulled it or whatever, that sort of thing, or you traded your friend for it, or whatever, you traded for it somehow, and you traded the doubling season for 30 of them or 50 of them or whatever it was, there you go. Like I got all these for a doubling season back in the day. Um, you know, you have that. And that's sometimes more important to some people. It is important to me sometimes as well, but like sometimes you do sort of a little bit forgetful about some of the stories kind of behind some of the cards and where they came from and where they're going and that sort of thing. But still, it is nice to have something unique because, again, when you're playing your games with your friends and whatnot, or at your LGS or whatever, you get those looks from people, or you're just like, can I have a look at it? Like, or whatever. Can I, check that out or whatever? And that sort of thing. It's nice to have people appreciate your cards because, again, you've spent time, energy, effort, trying to find those cards. So it is nice when you do get those people that are going, oh, wow, cool, um, and enjoying your cards as much as you enjoy them. And it's like, again, when you see it in your hand, you're like bringing back some of those memories or bringing back that thought, or even just like looking at it as in your hand as you're sort of shuffling around your hand and going, what am I going to do next turn? Or what's Steve going to do this turn? What's he up to over there? He's awfully sus, or whatever. Like, you're just kind of also looking at the cards and going, oh, yeah, this card's really pretty. I'm really glad I had that investment to get this card because it is really pretty and really nice. And it's not just a standard version. Not that standard versions aren't nice, but just those nice alternate arts are just like, again, another level. So you're just like super happy to have it and just be like, cool, I get to play this next turn. And I wonder what people's reaction's going to be, especially to the card art, like, because obviously, again, with newer cards, maybe there's that, like, what does it do type thing, and there might be a few newer players that don't know what every card does sometimes, or you just need reminding what certain text of what certain cards do sometimes. Like, I need that too sometimes, even if a card's been played 100 times sometimes it depends on the specific wording of a card, depends on the situation that you're in now, so it's just come up, so you're just like, oh, wait a minute, let me just check the text on that, or let me check the oracle text or whatever it's meant to be, so I can figure out how this works, whatnot. But still, like, you don't get that with new cards. But yeah, again, you get that factor of like, oh yeah, what does it do? Because, no one's seen it yet, really. It's been played for 2 minutes and there's a new card coming out in 3 more minutes. a new set every 2 minutes or whatever it is. By the way, there's a new card coming out in 2 minutes. And 2 more minutes from then, there's another set coming out. Oh man, it is like that. There's that fast-paced environment to the, you know, the collecting or the play now, where it's like, it's super ridiculous to try to keep up with what everything does. And again, not to say that, it's a bit annoying, but so, if you're just like saying, 2-drop mana rock or 1-drop mana dork or whatever, whatever it is, you don't have to say more than that, You don't have to say its name, or whatever, but you can, obviously, but still. It's one of those choices that you make when you're playing your cards, and, if people are paying attention to what you're doing, well, that might mean you're the threat or something, or that you're just getting, kind of too far ahead, or whatever. Maybe it's because you're going first or second or whatever it is. But again, it can be like that. So you want to kind of fly it under the radar sometimes, and having a generic version of a card can help you with that to a degree. But I honestly would rather have the alternate art because it's just too pretty, and I'm too obsessed with the, more pretty versions of cards and that sort of thing. So, but that's just me. Yeah, but yeah, I hope you guys like some alternate arts, like some foils or whatever you like. Like, again, whatever I like, you don't have to like. And if you like foils much, much more, or you just like the basic versions, but foil or whatever, or just the borderless foil, whatever it is, if your tier list is completely different to mine, that's all cool too. But again, that's the way I look at it. I look at showcases are very nice, and borderless are okay, or whatever. There's ones that are different art, but extended art too. So it's always confusing which ones are which. They say these ones are extended now. No, they're not. Now they're borderless. Wait, what? So, but yeah, it is nice to have those cards. But you guys can always let me know what you think of all kinds of different variants of cards. Write your thoughts down there in the comments below. Hope you've enjoyed this one, and hope you will join me again in the next one.